Well, Australia have done it. They are the ones that reveal the least amount of information to the opposition heading into the World Cup. There's been talk around global cricket that these are the good guys, that Australia are the good guys, and we like seeing the good guys win, Pezza.
Wow, I don't know what replay you put on, Higgins. Certainly wasn't the game that happened last night, but we all do what we need to do to cope. My read on the game last night is that Australia is very wisely flying under the radar ahead of the World Cup. And the way you do that is by a hat trick of 100-plus run losses to South Africa, who most people didn't have in their top four. I note Mark Waugh does now. And then a comfortable 5-wicket loss to a cantering India who are missing half their side. So we have the global cricket exactly where we want them. We're playing India into form. You're talking about wickets for Shami, Boomer at the death, runs for Shubman, Jadeja in the middle, Sky runs after 3 consecutive golden ducks against Australia, and even KL Rahul in the runs. So once again, Australia just playing a bit of 4D chess with global cricket, and I cannot wait for this World Cup.
Yeah, global cricket once again snookered by Australia's cunning activities. Pezza, to that end, I want to. Well, first of all, I want to thank our dear sponsors, Cricket.com. Go and download the Cricket.com app right now. And hey, while you're in the neighbourhood, go and support Cricket.com by subscribing to their YouTube channel. It's everything you've ever needed. Cricket.com/TV. That's their YouTube channel, and also download the Cricket.com app. Pezza, I can sort of get behind an ODI World Cup every 4 years when there's jeopardy. Mm-hmm. You know, I think when the World Cup starts, 50-over cricket's going to be fucking red hot because there's jeopardy for every game. And I can also get behind everyone fucking off ODI cricket up until about a month before the tournament starts. I can get behind that. But my first thing in these 3 things today, what are these teams? What am I looking at? Because I'm looking at Australia's team. If I can get the scorecard up here, they played Marsh and Warner opening, Smith and Labuschagne 3 and 4, Cameron Green batted 5, Josh Inglis had the gauntlets on, Stoinis next, Matthew Short came in next, then Pat Cummins with the captain's armband, Abbott and Zampa. And as you mentioned earlier, Pez, for India, it's more about the notables, about who isn't playing. The captain, Rohit Sharma, isn't playing. I believe it's pronounced Virat Kohli didn't play. Kuldeep Yadav, who was sensational throughout the Asia Cup, he didn't play. And Mo Siraj, who just took 6 for 21, also didn't play. What are these teams, brother?
I'll tell you what these teams are. Firstly, they're an indication of the most meaningful bilateral in cricket in the last 4 years. That is, they actually have some context heading into the World Cup, but not meaningful enough to play your best players. So, you know, take from that what you will. I mean, what we saw last night was the first of a 4-match series between Australia and India, culminating in a game at Chepauk in a tournament I believe is called the World Cup, where when I played sort of sport at school, we had a concept called last goal wins. You may be winning by 20 goals. You may be winning by 20 goals on the playground, but as soon as a teacher calls last goal wins because the bell's gone, that team wins the game. And scoring that last goal, despite having conceded 20 plus, was one of the sweetest victories of all time. So once again, Australia box seat in this last goal wins series. Didn't catch a lot from Australia overnight that suggested they will get that last goal, but that's the idea. That's the idea, because I do know around the cricket world, for some reason, I think there's concepts such as history. People do think that Australia will go to the World Cup and bully teams. It will turn up once the World Cup starts. You know, that we're foxing. I don't know. I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking, we lost Travis Head, and I don't see how the top order really works that much, and the middle order haven't scored a run, an important or fast run for a little while, and really think Mitch Starc, with a few games out, is coming back, and like sort of Marco van Basten after a years-long injury, will be the greatest player. It will be 2015 again. So, yeah, I think that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a last goal win series.
I like the idea of Australia going into any tournament and just bullying the opposition, not through results, mainly just through verbals. I can get right behind that because that is 2015. Famously, the cricket team not happy with New Zealand being too nice. Let's get into the game itself, Pez. I didn't mention the scores, but Australia lost the game by 5 wickets, and indeed, in many ways, India actually won the game by 5 wickets because they were the better team over the course of, let's call it, 100 overs. So Australia scored 276, and Shami just suppressed Australia. D-Lux 5 for 51. His return figures. There was a bit of chat before the World Cup or heading into the World Cup. This is sort of creates a headache now because Shardul Thakur, Shami, who you're picking? Well, Thakur went for none for 78 off his 10 overs, and what's happened this time will happen forever. So case closed, done and dusted. Put that in the wank bank, if you will, and I know that you will. Shami, though, was fucking excellent, just attacking the stumps, decking, he was hitting the seam, cleaned up Stoinis, cleaned up Steve Smith, and he also took 3 other wickets. But for Australia, Warner hit 52, Smith 41, Marnus 39, Green 31, Inglis 45, Stoinis 29, Cummins 21. Just starts, just patchy, just nothing really to write home about. I have absolutely zero interest, Pezza, in an Australian batting lineup in white ball cricket with Steve Smith and Marnus batting 3 and 4. I know this probably isn't going to be the team, but I've got absolutely zero interest in it. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's difficult to understand in the sense that Australia seem to be building a really explosive white ball side. That seemed to be their approach. Even in losses against South Africa, they were going at 10 and over. One injury to one of those explosive top order batters, Travis Head, now seems to have forced Australia to revert to totals that were very formidable in 1996 and an approach that was formidable in 96. As you say, Warner, run a ball 50, looking good. Dropped by Shreyas Iyer on 14, it might be said, and will be said and has been said. Steve Smith, 40 off 60, okay, 96, fantastic. Marnus 39. Sorry, I'm just doing some washing next door as well. It's either that or an earthquake is going off. Inglis batted well, but I just felt through the game Australia were perennially unders. They were just behind the entire game. It was a slow start. Warner and Smith got some stuff together, but I just don't see how that approach to batting is frightening anybody. And when you combine that with middle order woes and late order woes, where you have a scenario, Australia's 248 for 5, good partnership, Stoinis and Inglis, with 23 balls to go, still unders, finishing with 276 from there, all out, once again, essentially collapsing, run a ball for the last 5 overs. It's just not going to cut the mustard, and I am looking to cut some mustard for this World Cup. No disrespect or to take anything away from India. Bowlers did the job. Ashwin came in, was tight enough. Jadeja just kept them at bay. Shami cleaned up towards the end. Thakur went for a couple, but really, I felt like India were comfortable throughout in this game. There was 1 or 2 patches where Australia got involved. I'm sure most people watching this would prefer us to focus on India being really good at cricket, but I can tell you there are 15 other channels you can listen to or watch if you want your players sucked off forever. And we'll do that from time to time as well. It's just right now, I'm looking. Well, it's true. If you want some suck-off channels, they're there for you. Do you live your life to simply watch India suck-off channels? If the answer is yes, comment yes. Okay? Australia were unders. What? You guys, is that out of line? It's just real life.
No. I just want people, if you like to be sucked off, click subscribe.
I'm not saying that.
That's
because
all I want.
We all know the answer to that.
That's what I'm saying.
Men, women, other, whatever your gender. Everybody likes to be sucked off. Who doesn't? But I'm talking about people who like India cricket suck-off channels. Because I've watched a few in my time, and we've been, that allegation has been put to us as well. But anyway, in Australia's case, I don't know. Like there's questions everywhere. Whisper it, but Cameron Green, where are we at? What are we looking at?
Yeah.
Nearly ran out Marnus twice before running himself out. Got to run out later. 30 or 50. He looks dreadfully out of nick. Good to see Stoinis score some runs. I saw Cummins was saying, 1 to 7 scored runs apart from Mitch Marsh. 1 to 7 had something to build off. But they were just behind and unders. And India looks several steps ahead of Australia.
Oh, I think as well, Pez. I mean, Kate, I want to focus on Australia because it's more interesting, obviously, to us because that's the team that we support sometimes, sure. But like, you just look at India, who have just been building through the Asia Cup. Now they've got basically a B and a half team. That doesn't make any sense twos. Out, and these guys are consistently just putting out good performances. And I'm also just now looking at Australia, as you said earlier, without Travis Head. And now we've got Matt Short coming in, who's sort of replacing him, but they've put him down at 8. Did he bat 7 or 8 in this game? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I mean, he's one of the BBL, obviously, as we know, the premier T20 competition in global cricket. He opens the batting, and he's opened the batting with success for Australia already. So to come in and do that, to like sort of fit Marnus and Smith in, it's important for Stoinis to score runs. He's a professional cricketer. It's important every single time all these guys go to bat. But obviously, Stoinis has had a lack of form for a period of time. Cameron Green, I don't think I've ever seen it do anything in white ball cricket. I mean, I know there's hope there, and it is the hope that kills you and the cholesterol. But there's just questions, whereas like literally 7 minutes ago, Australia had just won 3, 4 games in a row, 5 games in a row against South Africa. And I'm thinking, will Australia ever lose a game ever again? And now it's like, oh, well, they'll finish 9th this side. So I don't. And also, Pezza, just finally, and I will have the final say on this. These decks are going to be nothing like what it's going to be like at Chennai for the first game. So it's almost like a warm-up for the rest of the tournament, but it's going to be a fucking Bunsen.
Yeah.
And they're not going to show us Kuldeep. So, fair play to them, I say. Do you want to talk about the third and final thing for the Today Show? Finally, Sky finds some ODI form. I just mentioned earlier about guys just chipping in. This is Sky's highest ODI score in 20, I was going to say attempts, like he's, disembarking the pole vault. That doesn't make any sense again. So he scored 50 off 49. That's his highest score in 20 attempts. Obviously, he hadn't scored a run against Australia in 7 years. So that's good for him, and it's all looking pretty good for India, just globally, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things happening in the last week or so that suggest that all countries are courting India and unwilling to call out basic things. But nevertheless, you could.
What does this mean for the G10 Canada League?
Yeah, that's exactly G10 Canada League. Absolutely quaking in its boots. Australia assassinated overnight, and didn't see it coming. So, Sky, he's their project player. He's the Zach Crawley, I suppose, of ODI cricket in India. And he'll be given every opportunity, and probably should be, because he's unbelievable. As I said, even KL Rahul looks good in the middle as well. Looks like they want to go with Shreyas Iyer. Looks like a Shreyas versus Ishan Kishan situation. They want Shreyas in there. Everything's coming up India. Everything's coming up India so much, he goes, as you say, not only cricket but in geopolitics. That India, after having won last night, are now the number 1 cricket team in all 3 formats in the globe. And now that is despite not actually holding the trophy for any of those formats. Nevertheless, number 1. So
right.
Again, if there was a trophy for economics, they'd be one. But it just seems to be an Indian wave upon us. Wasn't quite matched by the anthem that was released by the ICC this week. Nevertheless, everything's coming up India, and Australia just holding tight for that last goal wins game in Chennai.
100%, Pezza. Hashtag AskTGC. Manu wrote in, and he said, "How sad?" So how? Like it's obviously sad. So how sad? Being Aussie supporter, especially after witnessing war and punter era. like how sad and desperate to hype a bloke like Green as next big thing. He's no McGrath with the ball, nor a Ponting with the bat. So again,
Given.
sad, given. That's a prerequisite.
Yes.
That's a given. So how sad are you, Pezza?
Yes. Well, I'm devastated. As the commenter puts, because Cameron Green is not McGrath with the ball or Ponting with the bat, we are sad. Now one might argue that's very tough for Cam Green to be arguably the greatest fast bowler in the history of the game. It is an argument that he is in. So I'm saying arguably. Hear that.
Yep.
And after Don Bradman, arguably the best top order bat Australia has ever produced. Possibly the world. It's an argument. Probably a failing one with a bat. And then to leap from there to just a place of deep sadness that Cameron Green at age, 23, 24, has not yet amounted to both of those things in both disciplines. Yes. It's effigy time, for sure, for Cameron Green. Yeah. Great to speak with him, 3 weeks ago, and now call for burning of his effigy on the streets. But, that's the nature of media, and highly analytical media at that. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that his greatest trick has not been to trick the Australian public into thinking that he might one day average 21 with the ball and 53 with the bat. His greatest trick was creating an allure of value for the Mumbai Indians to come in and try and buy him for the next 60 years. So, skill set. So how sad am I that we have to make this sort of concoction in our head of this perfect lab designed, Yao Ming style cricketer?
Well, I was going to ask, he goes, you've said what his greatest trick is, but would you please, for the audience, outline what his one weirdest trick is?
And just watch that abdominal fat melt away. That is one of the weirdest match reviews that we've ever done for this very, very important series. We hope you've enjoyed it. Go and click subscribe if you have. We'll be back for Monday morning, I think it is, Pez. The next game's on Sunday night for the for the next game, and next crazy thing to happen. What's going to happen? I don't know. Click subscribe. See you later.